Cool. I have a
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Fire Up. I hope we're all fired up tonight. Are we?
Absolutely.
Woo!
Yeah, let's go.
And we have a guest in the house tonight, Marvin Powell III. Welcome to Fire Up, Marvin.
Thank you for having me. Looking forward to this tonight.
And back to our regulars, Mr. Samir. How are you tonight?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm good. And Smoking Jeremy B.
Fantastic.
And then Mr. Adam, a guest, but not really a guest because he's like a regular on the show, which we love. So
I'll be whatever you want me to be. I just play the game. I know Thursday night either I'm getting an invite or I'm going to sit down and relax. Either way, they're both relaxing, and I enjoy being here.
We enjoy having you. Well, guys, the Super Bowl happened this weekend.
You had a pretty sunset tonight, huh? No sports related tonight behind candy tonight, huh?
Yeah, I decided to go a little differently. I mean, now that football, the sad part of the season, it's over.
Where's your margarita for sitting on the beach?
Oh, there we go. That's what I need, right?
A little umbrella and a thing, isn't that the thing?
Yeah, exactly.
You'd be sitting in the snow here, but anyway.
And I think it's warm enough outside. I could be sitting outside with a margarita there. We had a cold front before, but now it's back to normal. Guys, I want to open up with Sam Darnold and Seahawks won the Super Bowl. But did you know it cost them money to do so? So
a lot of money.
Sam Darnold,
a lot of money.
Each player, the winning team, gets a $178,000 bonus for winning. But because they held the Super Bowl in California, and California has a jock tax, they look at the duty days. So each team spent 7 days in the state. So that means that California is going to tax your regular salary at 3.5% plus that. So it's going to cost Sam Darnold $249,000. It's going to cost him that for winning the Super Bowl. Your thoughts?
It's going to cost him more than that.
Yeah, it's going to cost him $71,386.27 is the exact amount I heard.
Well, no, they also played the Rams and the Niners.
He already paid that. That already got paid. This is just for the Super Bowl.
No. But okay, well, I'm just talking about overall.
It's $249,000 in total that he has to pay them.
One game. But I mean,
overall, what do the payments include? Like, are they like hotel? Okay, I'm assuming
no, that's just the tax.
That tax is based off of their yearly salary. And what they do is they make that the tax per game. Mm-hmm. So he paid that 3 times this season. 3 times this season then. Because he played a game against LA and LA. He played a game against San Fran, and then he played the Super Bowl in San Fran. So technically he lost almost $750,000 this year.
And I get he makes millions. Go ahead, Marvin. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's listen, I was surprised in 1999 after my rookie season when tax season came up. My accountant sent me all these forms from all these states, and I'm like, "What's all this?" And he's saying you got to pay taxes in every state that you guys played in, which blew my mind. I didn't know that. So I was aware of what Sam was going to have to deal with, but the fact that he's on the in the red on that is crazy. You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. So Gavin Newsom needs to step up and fix that. I can see this being a problem moving forward, and I'm surprised I haven't heard it before. But yeah, Candy, you said it. When you make as much money as he makes, I mean, it's he doesn't feel that. Trust me, he doesn't feel any kind of way about this at all. That boy just happy he got him a championship.
I gotcha. Boomer Esiason is calling for them to boycott playing a Super Bowl in California because of this. Now, they're not the only states that have this jock tax, but it's one of the highest ones. The other states that have it are Ohio, New York, Illinois, and New Jersey, besides California.
So a jock tax, I haven't heard of that. Is that like I'm guessing a tax for professional athletes when they come play in that state? I didn't know that was a thing, to be honest.
Believe it or not, all but 3 states and 1 province does not charge, and it's technically called the athletic tax. It's been shortened to the jock tax. And those 3 states in a province is Florida, Texas, Washington, and Washington, D.C.
So what happens when baseball teams do like a West Coast swing?
It's the same thing for every.
They're definitely paying taxes every game.
So if they went to like San Diego and then went and played the Angels or the
hello everybody.
Yeah, they're paying taxes in every state, man, for every game. Period.
Just those 3 states and Washington, D.C. are the only places where you don't pay it.
Yeah.
So you know what I would be doing if it was me, and this is just me thinking outside the box here. The Super Bowl should be in one of those 4 spots every year.
Yeah,
then it's actually a bonus.
Yeah, I would think that's something that has to be argued, during CBA negotiations, because the NFL, for their standpoint, they're making so much money. It doesn't, it's such a profit for them, and for the league and the sponsors and just everybody involved. That would have to be something that the players argue and fight for. We'll see. Yeah.
I figured it was just a point that a lot of us didn't know. Like, I didn't know that, so I figured, let's talk about it. Let's bring it up.
Yeah, I was going to say, Marvin, I know you're a secretary
with that.
For one of the chapters. So during negotiations with the NFL, how often does something like that come up?
I mean, it would come. I mean, so the CBA lasts for 10 years, and obviously throughout that 10 years, you have different issues that come up that are already addressed in the CBA. A lot of then you have other things that come up that are new, to become new issues, become public issues. I mean, this has been going on forever. The jock tax. That's just, again, I played in the NFL in 1999, 2000, and back then we were being taxed. My dad played in the NFL in 70s, 80s, and I'm certain he was being taxed as well. So, if it's obviously something that the players haven't brought up and it hasn't been an issue. If it is, that's nothing that I've heard, and you haven't heard, any of the past presidents during negotiations bring it up as well. So this is more, it's one of those things where it's just always been in place, but the fans never knew, and now there's like this outrage and people are talking about it. So I wouldn't be shocked if the players brought it up, but I would bet you there are other things that they're fighting for much more than that. Even though it's a lot of money. But there are a lot of things that the players are looking at, just even better healthcare being one, better retirement plans. That's really going to be the focus. It should be the focus moving forward. But I don't think if it came up, if it was an issue, it's just because of the most recent, findings, and people know it now. But that wouldn't be at the front of the line, man. It's been ongoing. It's been going on, and
So living in the state of California and playing there, are they taxed throughout the whole year like that?
Yeah.
It depends on your state income. And my state income.
No, I'm talking about like the Chargers, obviously, the Rams, the Niners. Are they taxed every week like that?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's not only for visiting players; it's for players who play in the state as well.
Yeah.
I think.
I
would
be a little less for if you're in the state playing, because you're going to pay more often. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think it's only when you're visiting. I think if you're a player in that state, then you're subject to whatever your tax bracket that you're in, but not based upon what you do for a living. I think the jock tax applies just to teams who are on the road. Otherwise, again, like for the Miami Dolphins, one of the things that they talk about to their free agents is, hey, there's no income tax out here. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the benefits of playing in Florida or playing in Texas. But yeah, for the home teams, it's based upon the state you're in. If you're a visiting team, you're getting chopped.
So Marvin, if you went to Florida, did you notice a difference in your paycheck whenever you got back? Or how did that work? Because you're saying like you went to and then like whenever you got your taxes, they were all broken down differently. But whenever you went to those states, did you notice a pay increase because there was no income tax in Florida or Texas, or how did that work?
Yeah, to be honest, so during the season when we're getting paid, I believe my checks were pretty consistent. But the way I had it set up at the end, I mean, thank God I actually ended up getting money, but I was paying taxes. I was paying taxes, and I guess it wasn't noticeable at the time. But in the end, when April 15th came, I had forms signed with each state, with all these states that I played in. Letting them know how much money I made during that game, and then it showed how much I'm paying that state, and my accountant had it all set up. But yeah, it wasn't something that I know.
You didn't have an accountant that screws you in the back.
No, he was good. He was good.
I'm just saying, that could have been a big.
But again, this is something that has been going on, and fans are just now hearing about it. You know what I mean? So, again, these dudes are making so much money right now. That's just not where they're at. I don't think that's the major concern. As crazy as it sounds.
Yeah, I know with the league, they've talked a lot about expanding to an 18 game regular season. Would that include 2 bye weeks each team or no?
I've been a proponent of asking that,
because I know they did it one year apparently in the 90s where they did an 18-week regular season and each team had 2 bye weeks. Have they talked about that?
I just recently heard Robert Kraft say that the NFL at some point soon will be going to a 2 preseason, 18 game type of deal. And from what I saw when I saw online, they are looking at 2 bye weeks. I think you would have to have 2 bye weeks.
You would have to.
You would have to. I mean, you got to think about how crazy it is. How the NFL comes out and says how concerned they are about concussions and hits, but they adding games. They added more games. But
right.
They're so concerned.
So
it just tells you.
Marvin, I know you're a part of the NFLPA, and I have a suggestion for you to suggest to them, and I think it would work out best for all the teams. Week 9, the trade deadline, is an automatic bye week for all 32 teams. That way, everybody after the trades, they get a chance to work everybody into their system for a week. Think about it. It makes a lot of sense to do it that way.
Yeah,
and then then you could do the rotating bye weeks on every week but week 1 and week 8, and then week 10, no bye week as well. And then week 18, no bye week. You could rotate the bye weeks for all the other teams in between then.
No, I hear you, man. I do. I mean, at the end of the day.
And another thing to push for player safety, and this is pushing for player safety. This is something I came up with. You're going to add another game. You're going to take away a preseason game. Then either lengthen the off-season training format. That way they actually get in there and get more workouts to get more in game shape. Or expand rosters.
What I was going to say is expanding rosters is really a move I see coming.
I think a 60-man regular roster and then a 20-man practice squad.
Yeah, I think that
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's realistic, I think, in an 18-game situation. There's no way the players are going to want to agree to more off-season work and more of an off-season commitment. That's just not the direction that they're going at all. These guys, they don't want to have 2-a-day training camps anymore. And their report dates are much later in the spring now. So yeah, they're not going to go for that, man. But I think the 18 games is absolutely coming, just because of the fact, as I always say, football, the human body wasn't made for football. So when you think about the reality of what 18 games does, there's no way that a team doesn't have 2 buys. I think expanded rosters is absolutely coming in that same scenario. And for the league, what it really comes down to, and for the players, it's more money. That's the bottom line, not player safety, not rights. It's about making money. They have the same objective as McDonald's and Mercedes. They just want to get that money, and this is how they do it.
But the league says that they do all these changing rules for player safety.
Yeah.
So you know what's funny is ever since they took away 2-a-days, do you know what happened?
Yeah.
Soft tissue injuries have gone up astronomically. In the first 5 years, it went up 30%. Now we're up to 45% above what it was in 2017 when teams did have 2-a-days. Now, also, you have to think that we had 12 other teams that didn't have turf fields went to turf, whether they are an outside stadium or not. And I'm sorry, MetLife is the field of need. 69 players since it opened has had either an ACL or MCL tear.
Marvin, I have a question for you. Being a former player, what are your thoughts on the new flag football Pro Bowl?
So growing up as a kid, I used to love the Pro Bowl. Because it was a real game. Like a lot of these young kids today don't realize they used to play a real football game that really mattered before the salaries blew up. That game check mattered. Getting that extra, however many, $10,000 or whatever, it was a big deal. Players look forward to that, man. And there were incentives for a lot of players to do well in that game. Obviously, it's evolved, and as we get into player safety, especially after Drew Brees got hurt, you just saw the guys that's not playing as hard, and the game became crap. And now they're playing flag, and I hate it. I can't stand it. To me, just don't even do anything. Now for me, it's for the NFL, it's a much bigger picture. You see across the board, you see a lot less kids are playing tackle football. It's still a thriving thing, but you do see numbers going down. And I think the NFL is just trying to keep the game alive through flag. They put a lot of money into a youth flag initiative. And that's all just to keep football alive and allow kids to play without having to deal with tackle. But I hate where they're at right now with the flag football. Man, I used to look forward to seeing all the really good players, like all the best players. Players played. I watched my dad play in that thing. He played in like 5 Pro Bowls, and it was always real competition. So I can't stand it, man. But as across the board, you see the game. Again, as they try to make the game safer. And I understand that, and I'm with it, but the game has suffered from that. Yeah, it's suffered. It's a different game in regards to the rules and the contact and not being able to hit the quarterback a certain way. And, I get all that, but it's a savage game. It's a combat sport. It's the only team combat sport. It's meant to be played a certain way. And I think, we're chipping away at that. We are. You see, again, we've gone from a running game type of game with a fullback and tight end, and now my position, fullback, is completely eliminated for the most part. But it's the teams who do well are the most physical typically and very tough in the middle. But yeah, Adam, I hate the fact that we've gone from a great all-star game to flag. I understand why, but from a guy who appreciated watching it and watching all the big-time players growing, when I was in the 80s, man, it's tough.
Yeah,
they've done the flagging. Sorry, Summer.
Yeah, to add on more about player safety, Marvin. I think in 2020 or 2021 is when they started bringing in the Guardian caps. On average, about 5 to 10 players, only 5 to 10 players a week, wear the Guardian caps. Since the NFL has tended to be very proactive and claim to want to reduce the number of concussions by the different rule changes, even the kickoff format change. Do you see them mandating players who play? Do you see them mandating Guardian caps for players who play certain positions like offensive line, running back, defensive line, maybe linebacker. What do you think? Because do the player, like, how come at this rate they've had it for about 5 or 6 years now? Why do you think more players aren't wearing them? Because they've proven to reduce concussions. And what do you think can be done to incentivize players to wear them, if anything?
Right. So, Samir, I'll tell you what, man, I've been saying at some point the NFL is going to make it mandatory. It's just going to be part of your helmet, the Guardian caps, just because of the numbers and what they show. Listen, I was a blocking fullback. I used my helmet as a weapon. It was part of my whole attack plan versus that Mike linebacker or defensive end, whoever I was going to be blocking. And without question, I using my head as a weapon the way I did, I absolutely suffered some concussions there. At the time, it was a different mentality. It was kind of like come out for a play, put some dirt on it, and you'll be okay. And that's how we rolled. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's the concussions are a real thing. The human body was not made for football. It is what it is, but we played a game anyway. It's no different than UFC or mixed martial arts or boxing. It's a violent game. There are injuries. It's going to happen, but we played anyway. But Samir, the Guardian caps, I think, and I remember back in the 90s, I think it was Don Beebe used to wear one for the Bills. This is way before, anything about concussions came out. He was wearing one, and it was just weird, right? But no. That's probably the way to go, to be honest with you. And I do believe as part of their push to make the game safer and safer for the players, you're going to see every player have to wear one of those.
I will say another thing that has helped is that new Axiom helmet.
What's up, Joe?
The Axiom helmet helped with the Lions, with the guys that didn't want to wear Guardian caps, because we only had like maybe 6 guys on the entire team that played them and used them in the. One of them being an offensive lineman. There was one defensive lineman that wore one. There was a couple of guys in the secondary. None of them had concussion. But the guys that refused to switch to the Axiom helmet that was just developed, which is supposed to help reduce concussions by 20%, all of them are the ones that had concussions this season. All of them. All of the guys that did not wear the Axiom helmet. So there actually is helmets that reduce the percentage of concussions too. They are trying to work in different things, and the reason why is because the throwback on the Guardian helmet is the overheating issue when it's warm out during the spring training.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Listen, they've come a long way with helmet technology. The helmet has really evolved. So at the Pro Bowl, a lot of these guys exchange helmets, and my dad exchanged helmets with a bunch of dudes. And you look at some of those helmets; they are thin plastic. I mean, thin, hard plastic with, some cotton balls as pads in there. I mean, it's unbelievable what these guys were doing and how they were playing the game and the equipment they had. Now, I mean, 2026, man, it's technology, cutting edge. They have high-tech helmets, and I think they're going to continue to evolve. But back to Samir's point, I think as these helmets continue to evolve, you're going to see at some point the NFL just mandate Guardian caps for all.
And the other one that didn't work that they tried out for a couple of years before the Guardian cap became prevalent again, there was that second skull, which looked like a do-rag, but it was made to absorb the pressure from the helmet on the head, and it does work. There's a high school that uses it, and they've been using it 5 years now. They have not had one concussion on their team, not one.
That's good.
So, but to the people that talk about overheating and stuff like that, and I still think there's no way you overheat if you're hydrating properly. Because otherwise, people that work on hot tar roofs would be overheating every day.
Yeah.
So, we have to look at it from every perspective, because you're talking about spreading something down that's over 200 degrees, and then you have to flamethrower it to spread it thin. Because I did hot tar roofing. That's how I know this. And I didn't pass out from heat exhaustion or heat stroke or anything like that. And if I could do that in 100-degree weather without passing out, I know that means they're not hydrating properly.
Yeah, as you speak, I think about Corey Stringer, former Minnesota Viking who passed away, heat exhaustion and related stuff. And that was a big deal, man. That was a big deal. That really, the NFL really, upped this policy and just really enforced more hydration and better situations and better circumstances for the players. And it became a very serious matter. So that's a real thing, man. It is, and it's unfortunate that we've had, I think, multiple players actually who have passed away because of that.
Right. It has happened. It happened in high school, colleges, pros. We've seen it in all walks of life.
But Jeremy, I feel like this, just from my time at USC and in the 2 or 3 pro training camps I was in, this is back in, again, late 90s, early 2000s. I mean, hydration was not an issue. I mean, there were multiple hydration stations. You had the
Right.
trainers who were there with the water. So it's like, it's hard for me to see someone not being hydrated, knowing how and even back when I played, when the NFL and college, had it set up. I mean, this isn't Bear Bryant, where he's making you go, 2
Right.
hours with no water. But it happens, man. It happens, and
But-
you got to be,
It takes us back to a saying from the Western days: "You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink."
yeah.
That has something to do with it too. There's a million things that could have been with Corey Stringer other than just dehydration, and we know this.
Right.
It could have been a blood sugar issue at the time he was overheated. Any number of things could have combined for that. We don't know. We don't have the autopsy report in front of us. I'm not trying to claim that I know for sure. I'm talking about, you don't hear about people dying now, but you do hear about people overheating a lot in these spring, and when it's hot in the spring training. That's what I was getting at. And I'm just saying, maybe it's just somebody, they bring water around there, is like, yeah, I don't need it. You know what I mean? Because there's always that one guy. Nah, I'm good.
Yeah. No, I hear you, man. You have a good point.
Thoughts about the Super Bowl, guys? Anybody that wants to go for it.
Second year in a row, we've had a boring Super Bowl. You kind of went in, the team that I felt like would win going in ended up winning both years. Just felt like Seattle was the better team up and down. They rattled Drake May. There's a clip of Ernest Jones calling out Drake May's the play calls the Patriots had, and calling out the audibles. So their defense shut them down. They had their way with that offensive line. I kind of feel bad for Will Campbell. He gave up 13 pressures.
And 3 sacks.
And 3 sacks. So they had they basically controlled the pace of the game from start to finish. And then credit to
Samir, to make it worse, it seemed like they only rushed 4 all game too.
Yeah, they didn't even blitz that much. And ironically, Seattle blitzed at one of the highest rates in the NFL all season. They didn't blitz that much during the game. And credit
Don't
to
forget,
Quinn.
I'm going to push back a little bit on that. 2 of the sacks came from Devin Witherspoon, which is a cornerback.
Yeah.
So that had to be a blitz. You can't say they didn't blitz when 2 of them came from a cornerback, one of them being the strip sack.
Yeah. And then credit to Clint Kubiak. He basically built a game plan around Kenneth Walker and put Sam Darnold in a position where he just had to not make mistakes. And he played mistake-free football, and they ended up controlling the pace of the game from start to finish.
I love what Kenneth Walker did, but I still say that the Super Bowl MVP to me was Jason Myers. I'm sorry. Super Bowl record 5 for 5. He had 2 extra points. He scored 17 of the 29 points himself. So, and in that, when was setting that Super Bowl record, he set a season record that was set by LaDainian Tomlinson that just sort of went overlooked. He surpassed LaDainian Tomlinson as the highest NFL scorer in regular season and postseason combined.
Yeah, I thought it was a good game. I appreciate defense, and really because my Jets or my Saints weren't in there, I'm rooting for Sam as the next best thing. But what I loved about it is, in a day and age where everybody's searching for the next Sean McVay and the next guru, the next quarterback whisperer, and what did it come down to? Defense and running the ball. That's really what it came down to for Stat. That's how they won that game. Special teams was outstanding. but they played great defense. They harassed Drake May without question. They did it for the most part with 4 men, as Samir is saying, and they ran that ball. That's it. I mean, it came down just to the basics. It came down to just Vince Lombardi style football, and I love to see that. I do. I mean, I love how the game has evolved. I know, now everything is, 11 personnel, 3 receivers and all that stuff. And we want to stretch the field, and we have all these dynamic, amazing quarterbacks. But Seattle went out there and played old school football, and they dominated the Patriots, who looked just horrendous. Drake May, who I think has serious promise and who I like a lot. I mean, he looked below average. I mean, he looked shook. I mean, he just looked shook. He looked, that defensive pressure got to him. He felt that, So, but I think from that he'll bounce back. I think he's made the right stuff. I like him, even though he's in Boston. But yeah, man, good old school football, y'all. Every single year, the team who's more physical, plays great defense, and runs the ball usually wins. And it's just it's so weird that we struggle. We're in a day and age where coaches and GMs and teams don't know if they want to pay the running back. What are you talking about? This at the end of the day, if you're gonna be great, you gotta be great from the inside out. Gotta be tough at the line of scrimmage, and that's what it comes down to. So, I loved what I thought it was a good game. I enjoyed it. I did.
And
I thought Kenneth Walker just kept getting stronger the whole game.
Yep, but
it didn't look like. Go.
No.
Go, John.
Finish your. I didn't know you stopped. I thought you were done, so I started.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna keep going, and I was like, oh no, we're gonna do it.
No.
I was like, oh no, we're doing this.
Yeah,
we're doing. Oh man. Go ahead, John. Go ahead.
Okay. My secondary Super Bowl MVP was that punter. I'm sorry. He punted 6 times, and 5 of them he placed them within the 10. He did exactly what I said. Don't let that guy take over the game. The punt returner of the Patriots, kick it out of bounds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd agree.
I thought Kenneth Walker was getting MVP when he had that monster run. That was my go. That's my MVP right there. I mean, obviously, we know it wasn't going to a kicker at that point, even though he was the front runner up until then. But
has it ever been a kicker? Has a kicker ever gotten an MVP?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
If there was a Super Bowl that should have, it was this one.
And he was at the game. That kicker was at the game.
Mm-hmm. So, moving on from the Super Bowl, there's been a plethora of changes in head coaches. Which head coach or 2 do you think will have the most success with their new team?
I think I'm going to go with the simple route and say John Harbaugh. They have a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. I do think they need to add a little more to their secondary in the offseason and during the draft. But they've got Jackson Dart. They've got Scadaboo and Neighbors both coming back from injury. I do think they need to add a little more to their offensive line, specifically at tackle, because they've got Andrew Thomas, and then I think they need to make another move at tackle or maybe at guard there. And they've got Neighbors. If they bring back Wan'Dale Robinson, he's going to want somewhere around $20 million in that department. And then you've got one of the better front sevens in the NFL. You've got Dexter Lawrence, Abdul Carter. I feel like I'm missing someone. Dexter Lawrence, Abdul Carter, both Brian Burns, of course. So
Dexter Lawrence.
Yeah, I mentioned Dexter Lawrence. You have Dexter Lawrence, Abdul Carter, Brian Burns. I don't know if Kayvon Thibodeau is going to come back. Apparently, the word is they're going to try and trade him because they did pick up his 5th-year option. So there's a lot of talent there. And then you look around the rest of that division. I think Washington will be better next year. They're going to have a easier schedule, and they made some changes on their coaching staff. They're going to have early draft pick, maybe spend some money, revamp their defense and wide receiver room. Dallas, I think if they can add to their if they can field a league average defense, they should be a playoff team, provided everyone stays healthy offensively. And then Philadelphia, even with the dysfunction you hear with that team, AJ Brown's not happy. You got issues with the offensive coordinator and Jalen. You've got Sirianni, who seemingly a lot of people don't like. But they're talented enough, they're going to be in the mix. So if they get the right breaks, they can definitely make a run at this. And then if they can figure out not only the Giants, another team, and this is not me being biased, if we can figure out an answer at quarterback, number one, if they can add to the wide receiver room and get some depth on defense, keep adding to the young pieces we have there, in a wide open division, I think Kevin Stefanski, if they press the right buttons, can potentially have some success in Atlanta.
Are they releasing Kirk Cousins?
Yeah, they're going to release Kirk.
I got to look at Mentor in Baltimore just because he's getting an MVP quarterback. I mean, this is a quarterback-driven league. It's everything. So you figure Baltimore last year had a ton of injuries on defense, but they have players who will be back this year. Again, they have a two-time MVP in Lamar Jackson. You got Derrick Henry coming back. You got receivers coming back. You have tight end coming back. So yeah, I'm thinking that Mentor is walking into the best situation. You look at the division. Cleveland's playing with young quarterbacks. The Steelers don't know who a quarterback is. Burrow's coming off injury, but still, I mean, it's just a situation where he has a great team already there, a great quarterback in a weak division. So, yeah, I think Mentor right now is feeling very good about what he has going into the season. And of all the coaches, I think he has the most stable team who's ready to win something right now.
Adam,
does anyone else think Cleveland's defense might fall apart losing Schwartz?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's possible, but they've got the foundation there. Have they hired a defensive coordinator yet? I think, have they?
No, because he just stepped away the other
day. No, you got to fill like a questionnaire and then like an SAT.
Oh, well, yeah, that too. So, yeah, I think there's definitely a chance to take a step back. They don't have an answer at quarterback in the room, and I don't know where they're going to get their answer, quite frankly. So, yeah, they're Cleveland and Cincinnati. Is Burrow going to stay healthy? Their defense is still a problem. So, yeah, I do agree on Mentor. I think he's walking into a good situation. And I think sometimes it's similar to a Belichick and Vrabel kind of deal where the message remains similar, if not the same, but sometimes that message needs fine-tuning. And Jesse Mentor worked under John Harbaugh for years. Then he went and worked for Jim Harbaugh at Michigan and then with the Chargers. So I expect a similar message and philosophy overall, but sometimes sometimes that message needs a fine-tuning.
Jeremy, what do you think?
I'm going to go with Vrabel at Tennessee because he brought in Brian Daboll. That's going to be probably very good for Cam Ward. We saw what he did with the young Josh Allen. And then you got, of course, Harbaugh at the Giants. I think those are the two best case scenarios. I think it can work down in Atlanta. I'm just not sold on the coordinators as much as I am the head coach, if that makes sense. I'm not as sold on the coordinators.
Yeah, I don't necessarily feel great about Tommy Rees calling plays. If Kevin was calling the plays, I feel better about it. But Tommy Rees has only called 8 games in the NFL. And yeah, I get it's Cleveland and their quarterback scenario isn't that great. Their personnel scenario isn't ideal. But I would feel better with an experienced play caller and Kevin, who's been calling plays for several years, as opposed to a guy who's only called plays for 8 games who may have some upside. But we are keeping Ulbrich and most of our defensive staff intact, which does make me feel good about that.
What do you guys think about Joe Brady?
I don't know. It's not really him that I think is the problem, even though I do think he was overrated as a head coaching prospect. I think you look at his scheme, you don't really see anyone being schemed open. You don't really see much creativity there. It's really Josh Allen and James Cook bail us out. And
if they don't get a wide receiver, they're going to be in trouble.
Not really him. It's more the general manager. They haven't drafted well. Since they've drafted Josh Allen, I think they've only drafted 2 Pro Bowl players. They took a risk on Keon Coleman and didn't work out. They traded out of getting Ladd McConkey in the process. So that could have been your threat on the outside. And then I think I don't know if they traded out, but no, they passed on Xavier Watts this past offseason. So you could have had someone in your defensive back in your secondary for the foreseeable future.
Adam, what do you think about Mike McCarthy?
I'm curious.
So Marvin, this is his team. That's why I'm talking to
I'm curious to see what he's going to do.
Putting him on the spot on this one.
I'm not interested in seeing Rodgers come back. I really ain't. I want to see what Will Howard can do. That's just my own personal opinion. But I guess Rodgers has till the day up the free agency to make his decision. But I don't know. I'm excited because McCarthy said, "Let's go get 7 right away." So that got me a little fired up. Like, okay, he's trying to put some fire back into this team. But we'll see. I'm not jumping the gun. I mean, he had a Dallas team that had a pretty all-star lineup and didn't do much with it. Here, you don't have too much. You don't have that second really go-to wide receiver, at least a big name wide receiver. I mean, obviously, a lot of people say Calvin Austin Jr. or Roman Wilson, but the Roman Wilson also, they said, wasn't a big fan of Tomlin, or vice versa. That's what I heard coming out of there. So I don't know. Maybe this team will cling, and then who knows what Metcalf you're going to get too. Is he going to be, hopefully never slams a person in the audience again, but obviously that hurt us down the stretch. I mean, we still got into the playoffs, but it was only because of a missed kick. There's Marcus.
Marcus on the go. What's up,
Marcus does the New Orleans show on my channel, Marvin. You might want to follow that guy.
Okay.
Just to let you know.
What do we think about Jeff Hafley to the Dolphins?
I think that's an interesting fit, but I kind of saw it coming, considering they did bring John Eric Sullivan from Green Bay, so you can see the connection there. I thought he was a pretty good defensive coordinator with the Packers. I know when they moved on from Joe Barry and brought him in, their defense improved all across the board. It's just a matter of what are they going to do at quarterback? Kind of similar to us right here. What are they going to do at quarterback? The roster's got some holes in it, especially defensively and on their offensive line. So I think it might take a year or two for them to really build that team up. But it's going to start with the quarterback.
Marvin, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with Samir. My first thought is, who's the QB going to be? Because that's everything. And if you don't, if you don't in a division that has a Drake May and has a Josh Allen, if you're looking to compete in the AFC East, you're going to have somebody who can lead that ship, and you see what the competition is. So I think the Dolphins are off. I don't think that the first-year player out of Texas, who slips my name, I don't know if he's the answer, even though he made some plays last year. They got to figure that out. It's odd to me that they chose a defensive coach in Miami, just considering the need they have at quarterback and the decision that they have to make still. So we'll see. But right now, I will take I think the Patriots and the Bills are way ahead. Definitely way ahead, I'll say, of the Dolphins right now.
I would agree with that. What do we think about the Hall of Fame class? The 2026 Hall of Fame class. Drew Brees, Larry Fitzgerald, Luke, Roger Craig, and Adam Vinatieri.
You know, it's crazy that they waited so long to put Roger Craig in there. This is one of the. I mean, when I was younger, he was considered to be, one of the elite backs in the NFL, the first player to rush for 1,000, receive for 1,000 in one season, and he played with great players in San Fran. But if you look at that West Coast offense, Bill Walsh offense, it's a run-based offense. Now, granted, they had Jerry Rice, and they had Brent Jones, and they had Montana, John Taylor. But that offense was based through the run game, and Roger Craig was that guy, man. I don't understand why it took so long to get him in there, but I'm just happy. I think it's a great class. I love the class, but I'm most happy that he made it.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is I do feel like Eli Manning probably should have got in. You don't think so?
Hell no.
Not first ballot.
He'll get in because he'll get in, but
he'll get in second or third year. 100%.
I thought this was his second year, or is his first year?
No, this was his first year. This is first ballot.
Okay, first ballot. Never mind. But yeah, I think other than that, I don't. Really, I thought this was a second year for some reason. But other than that, I don't really have any complaints about this class. I think it's a pretty good class.
I agree. I think it's a great class. If you look who they got in, Vinatieri. There isn't very many kickers that make it in, and if any of them's going to be in, it's got to be Mr. Clutch. I mean, he won 3 Super Bowls with his legs. And I'm saying last-minute kicks in Super Bowl. The one for the Colts, 2 for the Patriots. You can't get much more clutch than that, especially in that Snow Bowl to put him in that year to get into the Super Bowl. That kick to win it in the AFC Championship there, that was huge. When they had to plow so he could just see a line to the center of the goalpost because he couldn't see the goalpost because the snow was coming down so hard. Come on. It doesn't get much better than that. The Dolphins need Jesus. An exorcism, maybe. They've got some demons in that locker room. Something's going on.
Yeah, speaking of coaching changes, I'm not expecting them to win a lot of games this year, but it'll be interesting to see what Clint Kubiak will do in Vegas with the pieces they have especially with Mendoza coming in. They already have Gentry, they already have Bowers. They've got Powers Johnson on the offensive line, so they need to beef that up. And I think they need a threat on the outside. Get a wideout to accompany what they already have and what you're going to get in Mendoza. Now, I don't know what's going to happen with Max Crosby. You've got some saying they're going to trade him. I think Chicago realistically is a pass rush away from being a Super Bowl contender. So maybe, or you can go to Detroit. You can pair up with Hutch. I think that would be another option.
Guess you didn't see the interview today that Mac gave. He goes, these reporters just love to throw gas on the fire. We had a losing season. I never said I wanted out.
Man, interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens there.
I mean, when he's saying that directly to a guy interviewing him, because he's asked about, well, do you want out? He goes, no, I never said it. He laughed at it.
Oh, okay. And then it looks like he's going to stay there then. So I guess he's part of that. They have a foundation to build around. So it'll be interesting to see how that rebuild goes.
I think it might go well, but it's going to take 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Let's face it. The last time the Raiders made the playoffs 5 years ago, they had Derek Carr at quarterback, and they kicked him to the curb faster than a redheaded stepchild. I'm sorry. They should have kept him. I think they'd have been better off if they kept him. The draft picks, they wasted them. Where are those guys now?
Marvin, this is your team, but how long do you give Moore before you really start giving him a grade, knowing he walked into that disastrous salary cap?
Who?
Kellen Moore
Your coach
for New Orleans.
Oh, you know something? I liked what I saw out the quarterback this year, the rookie. I did, and I saw him up close. I went to the last game of the season. Yeah, Saints Falcons. Man, Tyler Shuck, man, he has some promise. I didn't love the draft pick, to be honest with you. I didn't love it when they got him, man, but he's had some big games. Went out to Tennessee, threw for 300 yards. Good, decent athlete. And I think that would be my focus, is what he can do with that quarterback. So I'm giving him some rope, because again, it's a quarterback-driven league, and I do believe that he keeps them in contention if he can develop this kid, and this kid can continue to grow. So yeah, I would be patient on that, man. I'm not into. Listen, I'm not into, firing guys immediately and this and that. I think there are circumstances. You referenced the salary cap situation. I think there's some promise there. I think there's a little spark. I think we've had a spark here with the quarterback head coach. So I'm holding on to him, because all that's going to happen is he's going to take this great learning experience, and then be rehired somewhere else and do well there with their quarterback based on the experience he got, in New Orleans. So yeah, I'm holding on to him right now.
Once they get out of that salary cap disaster, how long do you go back to looking at him like a regular coach then, and give him in 3 years to be his full rebuild?
3, I think even with the salary cap, man, I think there are other metrics and other things you can look at to determine if he's the guy or not. Exactly how much time do you give him once you get past that? Maybe a year or two, if that's just to give you an answer to your question. But I think he might be long term, man. I like him. I do.
Yeah, I'll admit he definitely exceeded my expectations. Tyler Shuck did at least.
Yeah,
you saw he played a lot better down the stretch this past season, and I think if the Saints had Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, they had some injuries up front, they would have won that last game of the year in Atlanta.
Yeah, I was hoping they would, man. But you're right. When you see a first-year quarterback, a young quarterback, ascending through the season and just playing better and being consistent and playing better, that's coaching, man. For as much as there's talent and the kid has guts and he's out there preparing, that's coaching. That matters. So yeah, if Moore is able to continue to allow this kid to ascend and push this kid, you keep this guy, man. You keep him. So yeah, I think New Orleans is potentially set up for something in the future here. But I like the quarterback head coach combination. That matters. I hope they continue to push this kid, man, because I think he can be special.
I remember a couple of years ago when New Orleans did draft Spencer Rattler. I said this is the biggest mistake they've made since trading every pick for Ricky Williams.
Yeah. I didn't love that.
I'm just saying, because everybody said, "Oh, he's baby Mahomes." I said he is nothing like Mahomes. Stop it.
I don't know who said that.
I don't know who said that.
There was draft pundits that nicknamed him Baby Mahomes because of how he looked and played in college. There were draft pundits that said it.
I mean, I don't think he was that good in college.
He got his position took. He was a starting quarterback at Oklahoma.
Had to transfer to North Carolina to start.
Transfer to South Carolina, and even at South Carolina, I don't think he was that great. But I remember that one year he was at Oklahoma. Before that season, everybody was penciling him in as like the next one. I remember that he was like the next one, like the Heisman Trophy, #1 overall pick.
Heck, yeah. And I'm sorry, Jalen Hyatt looked more like Patrick Mahomes than Spencer Rattler. And I'm talking looks.
Yeah. Spencer, he was, the #1 quarterback coming out of high school, I think, and then he gets drafted. He's starting, but I don't know if he's it, man. I don't. I could see him as a career backup, to be honest with you, which is, no disrespect,
Jeremy, did you have another topic you wanted us to get to?
So, how many quarterbacks get drafted in the first round this year? Right now, as it sits pre-combine.
Well, Dante Moore's going back to Oregon. Fernando Mendoza, I think, is the only one. Because the rest of this class is like Ty Simpson, Carson Beck. Who else? Yeah, you've got
the guy from LSU.
Yeah, I don't think he's a first-round pick.
I think he's a day 2 pick.
Day 2.
Paxton gonna make noise in the combine.
Who?
Paxton. Out of
well, do you guys want to know who's in the combine? I got the list right here.
You know, you've got Cade Klubnik, probably day 2, day 3.
You got Drew Aller of Penn State, Luke Altmaier of Illinois, Carson Beck of Miami, Jalen Daniels of Kansas, Joe Fagnanu of UConn, Taylor Green of Arkansas, Haynes King of Georgia Tech, Cade Klubnik, Fernando Mendoza, Baron Morton, Garrett Nussmeier, Diego Pavia, Cole Payton, Sawyer Robinson, and Ty Simpson. That's your quarterbacks at the combine this year.
The thing about it is you have no idea how particular GMs view and value these quarterbacks. You know, the guy who we say is day 2, that same guy can end up being the 5th player taken in the whole draft overall.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you saw it in 2024.
Yeah, it's just, you know, it's just everybody values these guys differently. They see something differently, you know, and the reality is you look at Pat Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, I always say they messed it up, man, because they came out and excelled in year 2 and year 3 early in their careers. And you're looking for quarterbacks who can have impact right now. Who can have impact right now? I wouldn't be shocked if Nussmeier, the kid from LSU, I would not be shocked if he went much earlier than people predict.
What happens if Mendoza has a bad combine?
It don't matter.
It don't matter.
It don't matter. It don't matter. That is not.
Why is he even going?
Because he's that kind of guy.
Well, remember, there's a lot of people who go and they at least do the interviews and don't work out a single workout all the time because it's the exposure to the GMs and the coaches and the questions that are made that make a difference on those type of guys that are known to be a commodity that's in the top 10. We've seen top 10 guys they know they're top 10 coming out of the draft, and they say, I'm just going to perform at the pro day. Oh,
Yeah,
we know Drew Aller.
We
know that.
Yeah, so Marvin, so as I mentioned earlier, I know Dante Moore is going back to college. Do you think the fact that the Jets are picking 2nd and we're probably going to pick him is the reason he went back to Oregon? He didn't want to play for the Jets.
Could be. Absolutely could be. I mean, listen, there are certain places that if I was a player, I wouldn't want to go to. I mean, just like any college kid coming out, graduating and going to the workforce, you want to work for companies that have track record of success, companies that know how to develop young talent, you know, and NFL organizations are no different. The Jets, I mean, you look at the tragedy that Sam Darnold is to us Jets fans, just because we had our guy, you need to have a guy in this league, and we let him get away. You know, we've done that before. Other organizations, Cincinnati, what they did with Carson, what they're doing with Joe Burrow, you know, just wasting these guys away, not really, you know, committing to what they need to. And I think you have a lot of quarterbacks who are considered bust who just went to bad organizations. You know, just imagine some of these quarterbacks who are bust if they got drafted by Andy Reid in Philadelphia, Andy Reid in KC. You know, any quarterback that had half a chance, you know, really would have had a much better chance in that type of organization with that kind of leadership. So, yeah, man, it would not shock me if the NIL money plus the fact that he's looking at the Jets made him go back to school. That wouldn't shock me at all. I would get that. Yep.
I'd get that too. Jeremy, do you have another topic?
Oh, gosh, you're going to make me look it up again.
I am. What about prospects?
So who are the prospects that you're actually interested in? Targets that would be for your team that you follow? Powell, I know you watch a lot of college football. Who would you like your Saints to target?
At what position you said?
Any position, if it was out of this draft, if there's someone you want them to target specifically, it doesn't matter the round, whether it's a sleeper pick, whatever, just somebody that you fell in love with in college watching this year, watching the college football.
Oh, that's easy. That's easy. Makai Lemon, the Biletnikoff winner out of USC, phenomenal return guy, outstanding receiver, and I think he would add value to any NFL organization. I think he should be the first player taken off the board at receiver, and he'll be an impact player. He'll be a guy that shows up on special teams or in certain situations on offense. I would love to see them draft Makai. And because they have a quarterback who I think can give them the ball, he wouldn't be wasted. And they have an offensive head coach. So, yeah, I would love – listen, for any of y'all who haven't watched him, Makai Lemon is to me, he's a much – I hate to say much. He's a version of Steve Smith Jr. or Steve Smith Sr. 2.0. That's who he is, 2.0, Steve Smith Sr.
Samir, for your Falcon.
So right now, since we don't have our first-round pick, with our second-round pick, I'm looking at mainly a wide receiver. So I'm looking at either wide receiver or depth at corner. So wide receiver, I'm looking at two players. I'm looking at number one, Zachariah Branch out of Georgia. Great route runner, great deep threat. I think he did a lot for Georgia offensively this year, can take a screen and make it a 15, 20-yard play, can, as I just said, beat you over the top, and can just win routes, and great with yards after the catch. Another one, Jeremy Bernard from Alabama. That's another one, similar play style, good route runner, good vertical threat, and good with runs after the catch. I would like, if we're going to go wide receiver, I would like to see us get one of those players in the second round. Corner is also one. We've got AJ, but our issue for years is that we've always had a revolving door at that second corner position next to him. We've had Mike Hughes there the last couple of years. He was good in 24, had a down year in 25. I don't know if he's going to be on the team next year. And then we've got Billy Bowman, who's coming back from a season-ending injury. So we are going to need some depth there. Now, we've got Avion Terrell, AJ's brother, but unfortunately, I don't think he's going to be there at 46 by the time we pick. He's a projected first-round pick, but it would be cool to have AJ's younger brother playing on the opposite side of him. Another one is Chandler Rivers from Duke in the mid-rounds. That would be a steal if we can get him in the third or fourth. So those are the two positions I'm looking at if we're going to go with our second or third round picks. We may also trade back. Ian Cunningham has come from organizations that like to trade back, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
All right. Adam.
I have not looked yet, Jeremy. I'll be honest. I would love to see us get Love, but I have a feeling we're going to go cornerback. I just do.
Yeah, you guys are picking, what is it, 19?
21.
21? I knew you were right in there.
Aviola something? I think that's who we were talking about targeting. I don't know his last name. Aviola?
What position?
Cornerback.
Avion Terrell from Clemson.
Yeah, I just mentioned him.
That's who I think the Steelers are going to be targeting.
Yeah, again, hopefully they pass on him so we can draft him.
Of course, you may, right?
Yeah, he can play on the outside of his brother.
Candy, what about your pack?
Well, we don't have a first round pick because we got Parsons. So I honestly think we need an O-line guy, or I could see, I would really like Ruben Bain Jr., a defensive. Like
but you know what that means? You got to trade up to get him, because I where he mocked that every time is either 2 or 5. Every mock I've ever seen. He's
and they're not going to do
5.
I was doing so good at not bringing Candy into this conversation tonight. I was waiting for someone to do it.
It was my turn. I wanted. Okay, I know you'd love Ruben Bain or even Messidor probably.
Marvin,
Yeah.
just to let you know, Candy always asks the questions, but she never really answers her own questions. So we always
Mhm.
try to get her to answer her own questions.
Yeah. Okay.
So, all right. So you're saying that, or you're saying edge, or what other position? O line.
I said O-line. O-line. We need to protect
Are you
Jordan
looking at
and give him
tack?
time.
Are you looking at tackle or center? That's what I'm asking.
Probably. I mean, I think center actually.
Yeah, because the guy that's been the starter can't stay healthy, and let's face it, Ryan has been awful as a backup.
Yep.
So I'm in the buyer beware camp on Connor Lew of Auburn. Play style, while he's amazing, but he's had one in each knee, an ACL tear already in his young career in college. I'm in buyer beware mode on him. So you're
Mhm.
looking at Jake Slaughter, Logan Jones, Trey Zoon out of Texas A&M, Parker Brailsworth, or Pat Coogan of Indiana. Those are your top 5 outside of Connor Lew.
Mhm.
Nick, I think I'd like to see
FYI.
Love go to the Saints. I think that would be a great pick by them.
Yeah, he's a great player. Dynamic running back. I mean, he ran through USC. I think he hit us for like 200 yards. Elite back, definitely an elite back. And you know, I think he's the only back projected in the top 10.
So with the 17th
Jeremy, how about
pick,
you?
I was just going there. With the 17th pick, that's where my Lions are at. I think we got a snowball's chance in HE double hockey sticks to end up with Francis Mauagawa, who got mocked in the top 10 consistently. So then you're let us start looking at because what we need is left tackle, because they've already said they're not moving Panay, and it looks like we need to prepare for Decker either way, because it'll save cap to get rid of him after June 1st. So I do think offensive tackle is probably our first and foremost in the first round. And so you're looking at either Spencer Panu is actually the better choice, because he's the one that played left tackle for Utah, versus Lomu, the right tackle. Then the next one that's a left tackle in this draft, and if you go all the way down, a lot of them translate closer to guard. Why? Well, they're like Will Campbell. They have T-Rex arms. But you got to go to Drew Shelton of Penn State, which means you're waiting to the second round. And I asked this hypothetically of the fans of my show. Let's say all 4 of the tackles, whether they were right, left, whatever, just like the 4 best ones leave before 17. You don't really have a trade partner to move back, because all the good defensive ends are already gone that are usually by this point. So the height picks are not there. There's not a good trade back. You don't want to go all the way out of the first round, but you need a third round or 2. Would you be okay if they went with the best guard available, with the way our left guard and center played last year, and go with Vega Ione out of Penn State? I think he's the best guard this draft. I like him better than the guard out of Oregon who gave up sacks and looked like a turnstile when Indiana housed him in the playoffs. So that's who I like. I like Ione out of Penn State. And if you're going to go defense at edge at 17, we could probably get Messidor, because that's about where he ranks in the prospect list on 5 different prospect lists, or LT Overton out of Alabama. Either one of them, that's those 6'3" to 6'5", 270-pound game records.
Seems like there's a lot more defensive going in this first round this year than offense, from what I've seen on mock drafts. But I mean, that could change
O-line and defense.
But
yeah, you're also seeing something you don't normally see. That linebacker, Averill Reese, is that his name?
From Ohio State?
No, Reese. Oh, yeah,
Reese.
he's from Ohio State, too. Both of them. Reese and Sonny Styles. It's looking like you're going to see 2 linebackers go in the top 20 this year. It doesn't matter what mock draft machine I use when I do mine. They go in the top 20. And they're both out of Ohio State. And then you'll also see Ruben Bain and Messidor go in the top 20 every time, too. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay, guys, is it time for my town?
Sure.
Let's
Candy,
do it. Marvin,
why don't you start us off this time, Candy? I'm putting you on the spot.
You're going to put me on the spot? Okay. Well, what I'm going to celebrate is Jordan Stoltz. He was the 21-year-old speed skating phenomenon from Kewaskum, Wisconsin, made history at the 2026 Winter Olympics by winning gold in the 1,000-meter race with a record time of 1:06:28 in Milan, Italy. He is known as the Kewaskum Kid. He trained at the Pettit National Ice Center, and he's a top contender for the 500-meter and the 1,500-meter. And if you didn't know, the Pettit National Ice Center is located in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. A lot of famous speed skaters have trained there. Bonnie Blair trained there.
Apollo.
Jansen. A lot of them. Yeah, Apollo. All of those have trained there. So kudos to them. The other thing is the Milwaukee Brewers signed William Contreras today, so they don't have to go to arbitration with him. And obviously, pitchers and catchers started. Baseball spring training started today, pitchers and catchers. So the boys of summer will be back. I can tell you, I don't know when or where, but Scott and I are talking about taking some trips around the state of Florida here for the Grapefruit League. We did the Cactus League a couple years ago. I mean, we're only going to do some of the teams here, but we're going to hit some of the stadiums that we haven't hit. So looking forward to that too. We did apply as far as down here. We did apply for on Sunday, FAU men's basketball plays USF here at FAU. So we're hoping to go to that game on Sunday. So we'll see. But that's kind of what's happening in my town, Wisconsin, and my town here. So, Samir, well, the thing is you and Marvin have the same town because it's gonna. But
yeah,
go ahead.
Well, so the Braves are already getting injured. We've just started spring training. Spencer Schwellenbach is going to miss a large chunk of this season. He's placed on the 60-day IL. The elbow injury. He did say that he's going to have surgery on it yesterday, so there's no telling how much time he's going to miss. Sean Murphy's going to miss time about a month or so to start the season. Ha-Sung Kim is already going to miss the first 2 months because of fractured wrist. And then Joel Menez is likely out for this season with the knee injury. The Hawks did lose again, but Zachary Richer is named as a replacement to the Rising Stars game. Jalen Johnson, this will be his first career All-Star game. And then just after the Falcons hired Ian Cunningham, everything was seemingly quiet on their front. Then Saturday night, my cousin tells me that our 2026 first-round pick, because that's what we gave up for him, James Pierce Jr. was arrested. So I'm thinking, okay, it's a domestic dispute. I don't know the details then. So it's a domestic dispute. Hopefully, what usually happens is they reach a settlement. The criminal charges either get plead down or dropped, and he'll be suspended 4 to 6 games. Then I come to find out the details. So in case you didn't know, he was dating Rickea Jackson, WNBA star, for about 3 years. So since he was 18, 19 years old, they had broken up recently, and she blocked his cell phone number because she didn't want him contacting her. So he contacts her from an alternate phone, alternate number. She tells him, leave me alone. So keep in mind, he's in San Francisco for the awards ceremony. He flies 5 hours from San Francisco to Miami. So you had 5 hours to get bad intentions off of his mind, never got them off his mind. He rents a Lamborghini. He's following her. She sees him following her at a red light. Then he gets out of the car at an intersection, tries to get in her car. She drives to the police station. And as she's driving to the police station, I'm making sure I have this right. Yeah. He repeatedly rammed his car into hers Then he cuts her off at an intersection and then rams into her again. Police arrive at the scene. He drives away. As he's driving away, he apparently hits an officer in the knee, crashes, gets out of the car, and then he's eventually arrested. He's got 5 felony counts, 2 counts of aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, which in this case is the car, 1 count of stalking, a felony fleeing and evading police, and then resisting an officer, which is a misdemeanor in this case. However, here's where he's in trouble. And had he not done this, I don't think he would be in as much trouble as he might be in. The most significant charge is the felony aggravated battery of a law enforcement officer. Why is that significant? If he's convicted of this charge in the state of Florida, it is a mandatory minimum 5-year sentence. So the video of him being arrested already looks bad. And the details that are coming out about this just make it look even worse. And on top of that, he has 9 traffic citations. And when I found out, I was just like upset as a fan because we finally get this franchise edge rusher after over a decade of not having a pass rush except for 1 year of Vic Beasley. And then this happens. So that's just great. 22 years old, rookie, 10.5 sacks, the first one since Micah Parsons. All the potential, generational wealth, unfortunately threw it away. Thrown away. Now, what happens from here on out, I genuinely don't know because of the severity of the charges. Now, whether he's back playing football for the Falcons right now, that's kind of in the rearview mirror, especially with the one charge I mentioned. That's the mandatory minimum 5-year sentence. However, and this is not going to be a popular opinion probably, if the legal situation somehow works out in his favor and it's not looking good, after the NFL suspends him, because best case scenario, he's going to get 6 to 8 games for this. I think you have to bring him back, but on an extreme zero tolerance, like one slip up and you part ways. But ultimately, that is the risk you take when you draft a player who had known character concerns, and it is why Terry Fontenot is out of a job and deserves to be out of a job, among other things. And had he not been fired already, he likely would have been fired this week when the news came out. And it's not because, oh, well, this first-round pick got into a legal issue. It was the fact that he had known character concerns. He was a projected top 10 pick before 2024, his last year at Tennessee. Then after the season, he starts slipping. And some teams had even taken him off their board entirely, had him in the 3rd round, 5th round, or said, you know what? The character concerns are such a concern that we're not even going to draft him. You even had a high school teammate of his before the draft basically say, yeah, this guy's crazy. And yet Terry Fontenot, who was understandably desperate to try and give himself the best chance to save his job, burned our future first-round pick this year on this guy. And the sad part is you saw why he was a projected top 10 pick. I was telling people all offseason that this guy was a better prospect than Jalen Walker. And it turned out that way. And for me, the fact that the Falcons haven't cut him yet is somewhat surprising given 2 factors. One, remember, we cleaned house. Like, we have an entirely new regime, new head coach, new general manager, and of course, the new team president who didn't draft him, so they have no incentive to be loyal to him. And secondly, we've had for a while what is called the Falcon filter. And if you follow the Falcons, you have a good understanding of what this is. It's like basically since the Michael Vick PR nightmare the team went through after they gave him that contract a couple years before, the way it's worked is, and it's gone back to Thomas Dimitrov and until recently Terry Fontenot, was that any player that had any sort of character concerns, the Falcons would immediately take them off their draft board. it's a large part in why they passed on Jalen Carter, who, as great as Bijan Robinson is, I still believe the Falcons should have drafted Jalen Carter. And that's why it was so surprising to me when we took him, not only took him, but gave up a future first, because it was against the norm of what the franchise did. This guy had no character concerns. They went and took him. And ironically, a lot of fans were complaining about the fact that they would do that because, you know, we need to get good players. I want a guy with character concerns on my defensive end going after the quarterback. But the one time we do it, that's what happens. And I saw this on social media the other day. Marvin, as someone who's in the NFLPA, what do you think about when players get drafted, the NFL doing its version of like a steered straight initiative, where when rookies get drafted, they talk to guys like Johnny Manziel, Aldon Smith, and Justin Blackman on the impacts and consequences of what can happen when you make a bad decision? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's important for any organization, any type of organization, when you're bringing in young talent new to the professional world. I think you want to have some kind of plan for them, whether it's a law firm or if it's an NFL team. And in the NFL, they have their rookie symposium where all draft picks get to go to. I believe it's in Indianapolis, and they go through a weekend or a week of these type of conversations about finances, females, football. All the things that you'll be dealing with, in your career. So, I don't know if a scared straight type of deal is needed. That's a type of energy or attitude that I don't think is necessary. I think it's more just informative. It needs to be informative. They need to talk about the things that matter, like I just said, that the 3 F's of female, finance, and football. Just talk about that more. The reality of the lifestyle of an NFL player, professional athlete. Just getting into everything you're going to have to deal with people asking for money, assuming that you're rich and wealthy, because that's what people do. They assume all the athletes are all rich and wealthy. And, just all that stuff, man. But they had that in place. At the end of the day, Samir, it comes down to just making smart decisions. And, young people typically are known for not making smart decisions. I've been there, no doubt about it, man. But you want to limit those mistakes, limit the consistent mistakes that players or people in that position often make. So yeah, it's really important to have some type of guidance, some type of leadership, and I think there is something in place. But it really comes down to just trying to be practical, knowing what's right, what's not, and just making the best decision in the moment. But it's tough, man. When you're young, you got a pocket full of money. People know who you are. Everybody wants to be your friend. All of a sudden, you're cute. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's a lot for a young man to deal with. Trust me, it is. But some of these teams and the NFL definitely are prepared to a degree for that. With that,
yeah, definitely. And I was going to add on to that because they did a lot of homework on him. Like they vetted him. I remember Terry Fontenot and Raheem Morris talked about how they went to his house right before the draft and met with him, met with his mom, met with his family. And the thing about that is, like, look, no mom is going to say anything negative about their son. Like, let's be real now. But again, that's the risk you take. And as we like to say around here, the Falcons are going to Falcon. But this time,
if he has a history of that type of behavior, then yeah, I could understand this to be a bigger issue for the Falcons because they should have known that. But Samir, also, this could be a young dude who's crashing out because his girl broke up with him, and that's something that you deal with whether you're an NFL player or not. That happens every day, but you don't hear about it because these people aren't athletes and, society doesn't focus on them. That happens every single day. Dude crashes out, does something crazy, So yeah, in this case, he's an NFL player, so it's major headlines,
Yeah, it's just unfortunate, but we're kind of used to it, and that's it for my town.
Yeah.
Adam, what's happening in your town?
Pirates big time reliever from the late 50s passed away today, Elroy Face. I know he went 18-1 in one season, I believe, from the bullpen, which is pretty dang awesome. Obviously the Steelers got their coaching staff in order, so that's key. Like we said earlier, just waiting to see what they do. Optimism, non-optimism, we'll see. Penguins in second place, and I'm hoping this Olympic break doesn't break this team. They're playing pretty top right now, and now all of a sudden they're taking a 2-week break. And I hope that don't kill them.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's about all I got right now. I know the
Marvin,
Pirates DH situation got bad over the last week with Marcelo Zuna signing.
Okay. Marvin, I know you're a guest on the show, and I told you about the segment, but I don't know. Did you have? I mean, because Samir talked a lot about Atlanta. Anything you want to add?
I'll tell you what, Candy. I will be better prepared for this next time if we do this again.
No problem. No problem.
Yeah.
Mr. Jeremy, I know you got something.
Well, of course, I'm looking. The reason why I asked is I wanted to know who my people wanted to know more about this draft coming up, and because I might be able to see some of them at the scouting combine, and all the names I heard, every single one of them are invited. So that's a good thing, because I had the invite list. I was just looking through it while we did that, and I was putting little check marks on my little thing for me. So I was like, okay. One of the intriguing ones that I want, he's considered a day 3 pick prior to the combine, but that may change after that, is the safety that converted to linebacker out of Nebraska, Kendall Daniels. They called the position that they created for him the cheetah. Sometimes he was an off-ball linebacker. Sometimes he was the in-the-box blitzing safety type of linebacker, because he started out at 6'1" and 210 his freshman year of college, and when he graduated, he's 6'5" and 242. This guy has ball hawking skills like a safety, and that big, and can play linebacker. I am really looking forward to seeing this guy. In Kendall Daniels, linebacker, Oklahoma. Other than that, Justin Verlander just got signed by the Detroit Tigers for another year at 42. He turns 43 in 10 days. And the reason why this is so big, we are talking about, we aren't talking about that kind of stuff, guys, in the chat. That's lowbrow stuff. That's got to go.
Why won't it let me?
I just got rid of it.
Yep.
But his deal actually isn't $13 million for this year. It's $2 million with $11 million deferred. Get that $2 million deal because of signing Valdez for $38 million and the arbitration to get Tariq Skubal his $32 million for this year on the team control deal. It's not a contract. It's not an extension, guys. It's because team control meant that they got to keep him at the higher value, but on a rookie deal. Well, arbitration allowed him to get moved up because he was the back-to-back Cy Young winner and he deserved the money. So he gets $32 million for this year. Does it mean he's gone next year? It doesn't mean that, because they might re-sign him next year. We don't know. Let's see what happens throughout the season. But does this not make this one of the most potent pitching rotations in the American League now? Because now your 1 is Skubal, your 2 is probably Framber Valdez. 3, you could throw in anybody, Casey Mize, Jack Flaherty, or Justin Verlander at that point. You don't know. So that means we got 2 starting lefties and we got 3 righties. That's one heck of a rotation, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
And the Pistons are rolling.
That they are. Okay, with that being said, we're going to let everybody go around the horn and tell everybody how they can find them. Samir, how can people find you?
You can find me here on Thursday nights on Fire Up. You can find a lot of my writing on the South Florida Tribune page. You can find me on X at ATL_Samir2401. And just wanted to say one last thing. Given what's going on right now, specifically with our star defensive end, that I think the best thing you can do, and mainly for the young men or guys that are watching this, is that, and I've been told this many years ago before, that if someone is hurting you or is not making you feel good, I think the best thing you can do is walk away from that situation if you can. Because when you do what he did and you don't walk away and you make a bad decision based off emotion, now you're putting yourself in a position where someone else controls your future. And that's what happened here. So thought I'd put that out there.
Gotcha. Marvin, how can people find you? And thank you for being on.
Thank you for
thoroughly
having
enjoyed.
No, thank you for having me. Yeah, Marvin Powell III on the internet. Marvin on the mic is my handle. I do 5 shows a week with the South Florida Tribune, and I do 2 shows a week with Locked On USC.
Adam, how can we find you?
You can get me at Driving to the Top Productions on YouTube. Tuesday we do open mic. Wednesday we do Steel City Sports Talk with me and Rich. Thursday night you can get me here. And sometimes on Wednesdays, if we get done early enough, you can catch me on Jeremy's show. Sometimes. And then if we don't work, sometimes you can also find me in the morning shows with Jeremy. I'll jump in occasionally if I get the invite. But I am very seldom off. And that Sports Talk can get on Twitter. You can get me there. And for everyone
Jeremy,
going
how can
out
we
this
find you?
weekend for Valentine's Day, have a good Valentine's Day.
Yes. Happy Valentine's Day this weekend. Saturday is Valentine's Day. Tell the woman you love or the man you love, depending on who you are, and whatever you want is all right by me, because as long as I don't care. Because all I care about mostly is football. But I go live every day at noon on my channel, which is Kneecap Biting with the Motor City Lions. I have my Wednesday show, which Adam mentioned, which is NFL Roundtable Talks at 9:30 p.m. 9 p.m. on Fridays, I have the Lions Fan Cave chat. Starting this season, I'm going to do a baseball show on Saturdays. And then once the football season kicks off, it's back to my fantasy football show on Saturdays. So it might be doing 2 shows back to back. It depends on if there's room on my network or not. Other than that, you can find me right here every Thursday on Fire Up with Candy, Samir, usually Adam, and hopefully more often Marvin Powell III, because this is amazing. I love picking his brain, especially about the NFLPA stuff, because that's something I'm into. People who don't know me, my background has been football most of my life, and I love it. That's why I also write for the SouthFloridaTribune.com. I mentioned in Scott's book, which she's going to do in the break here in just a second. She's going to put that up here, page 155, paragraph 2. But you can find my ratings there underneath where it says contributors ratings. Go to Motor City Tribune on the second name on there. You'll see 16 draft profiles so far, and probably I think about 23 pages of articles in total, because I've been doing it for 4 seasons.
With that being said, the South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book. Yes, my husband wrote it. Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It talks about his time in the media, over 40 years of his experience. Lots of great stories, some great pictures. There's a picture of him and Muhammad Ali in there. So he's met and interviewed a lot of great people. Go get the book. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, or Apple Books. The audio book is out as well. You can go to our website and get the link, www.southfloridatribune.com. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcast. If you want to be a guest or have topic ideas, you can email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Last but not least, if you see the red subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, that means you have not yet subscribed to us. What are you waiting for? Just click it like a share us, and then turn on your notifications so you're notified every time we go live. Monday nights, we talk baseball. Tuesday nights, we talk football. Wednesday nights on Sports Exchange, you never know what Scott's got up his bag of tricks. And then there's Scott the Motor City Mad Mouth and Marvin on the Mic show on Wednesday nights too, so you got to tune into that one. Then Thursday nights preceding this was Sports Wrap. They talk hockey, they talk soccer. You never know what they're going to be talking about. And then Fire Up, we talk a lot of football, but you never know what we might have up our bag of tricks. And then Saturday morning, instead of College Game Day, come on over and listen to Inside the Pigskin. Marvin and Mel, we have a USC UCLA debate. Love the show. Got to tune in on Saturday mornings. And then some Saturday mornings, we also do a baseball show, talking baseball. So definitely turn on those notifications. But also, we ask you to subscribe to everybody that is on our network. Lots of them have their own YouTube. They're coming in here to help us. We ask you to help them as well and follow them, read what they're writing, comment. Love the interaction. Jeremy, you want to take us home?
And as always, try every day to be a better person than you were the day before. That's the only way to make the world a better place. It starts right here. Because if you want to change the world, you have to change yourself and your outlook first. Much love to everybody in the chat. I appreciate every single one of you. And we're out.
We're out. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great one.